order. First things first, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Miss Cindy, do we need to do attendance?
Yes. Lucero,
Here.
Hale,
Here.
Hall. Here. Minton,
Here.
Rosso.
Here.
All right, before we approve the agenda, I'd like to add something to it just for the end.
Okay.
Scheduling. So if we could add that to the agenda.
It's on there, 10.
Is it?
Mhm.
I didn't see that. I'm sorry, never mind. All right. Then can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We also have the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Is there any questions or discussions on that? Can I get a motion to approve that?
I make a motion we approve the minutes from March 7th, 2024, or excuse me, 2023, you're correct, Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So at this time, we will open the floor up for public forum. Anybody who would like to speak on the two issues that are before us today. We have one, development of 153 Spring Street, and a request for signage on 160 McLean in the industrial district.
Hello, Board. My name is Zach Fowler, 319 Dickinson, Romeo. On the request for the variance on 153 Spring Street, I think, is this, the next process, as I had a chance to look at some of the paperwork, you're going to approve you're reviewing the variance request, and then you're going to review a site plan request. Shouldn't that site plan request go before the Planning Commission?
Correct.
Because once, this issue happened with that house on the corner of, out here on Powell Road and 32, to where the ZBA had approved the site plan and the variance. And then we had a conversation with Mark Clark, Trustee Russo and I did, and it didn't have to go back to the Planning Commission, because once the ZBA had approved it, that was it. I think that was correct, right? So it eliminated a process and some steps to take. So I guess when I seen this, it just raised up flags and said, here we go again. Because once this happens, and it circumvents the Planning Commission's process. I know you have the planner here, but it still should go through those steps, because we found things wrong with that out there on the corner of Powell and 32, that it went round and around. So there's some steps to take that I just hope that you don't bypass in order to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name's Corey Jankowski, 340 East Washington Street. Question about the variance for the setback for 153 Spring Street. You know what that is? As far as what are they looking to change?
They're looking to get a setback of 10 feet on one side, I believe, and then where's, yeah, 25 foot on one side.
25 front, 40 set, and then 10 for each, 10 on west yard, 25 south yard.
Nothing on the north side?
40.
40.
40? So would that, because my property backs up to that lot, would that mean it's coming closer?
I mean, theoretically, there's a street between you and it. There's a 20-foot wide street easement there.
Okay,
So there's a hard boundary between you and it.
okay. That's what I was looking for. So they're looking to get closer to that boundary then?
No,
So they
not on
will-
that part.
No.
No, it's more so the front yard and the two sides.
Are you
Okay.
the last house on Washington?
Yeah, right
So
on.
from where so there's the fence line there, right? Where your yard ends, there's a 20-foot gap that's a street, and then their parcel begins.
Okay,
So they want 40 feet from where their parcel begins,
okay,
not from the street,
okay.
not from your fence line.
So then that section would stay then?
It would be a street.
Would that include them extending the parking lot too?
I'm not positive, I would assume so, but that's a site plan question.
Yeah, I mean, it's, on the site plan, it does show that there is parking within that 40 feet, but
We're not being asked to approve a site plan, are we?
No,
No, we're
that's for
asking
the
purely
planning
for the
commission.
variance.
Just the zone.
Do you have one?
Right, that's why I made
Yeah.
a comment about it earlier.
yeah, it's my understanding, we're not
Just the
approving any kind of
variances.
site plan tonight.
Right. Okay.
Have you seen this, Mr. Jankowski?
No, I have not.
There's a, if, you can take this one if you want, there's a picture
Yeah.
on there that shows you
So say I got a spare two. you can
the
have it.
lot, and then here's the street, and then this tells you where they wanna go to.
That's
And
fair.
is this you right here? Yeah, so there'll still be a street,
I have a spare, can I give it to you?
Sure.
yeah.
I have two.
Does that help?
I'm assuming this would probably, they would make that parking area.
Probably.
Probably, I think, the site plan hasn't been approved, it looked like it would kinda wrap around, is what
It
they're
would look
proposing.
similar, just this is a bigger unit than these
Mm-hmm,
three. But that comes up in planning.
yeah.
So these buildings in here, do they want to make it go further this way?
I have to measure it.
Is,
my meeting.
this is Spring Street right here, isn't it? So they want to actually,
Make it closer to the street?
to Spring, yeah.
If we could, this is all gonna be covered
Sorry,
with
yeah.
the planner's review.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to show them the picture.
No,
Go
no,
ahead and
I
take it and have a seat, yeah.
I understand. Is there any other comments? All right,
Since you talk to the residents, you know you have those power lines there also, which runs right next to those that easement. Has the electrical company been contacted, or is that going to happen in the next process of the planning commission site plan review?
I believe that would happen in the next,
Okay.
we're,
Just-
we're only looking at the setback
Just the
request.
variance.
We're not approving any kind of site plan. That would go back to you guys at
Okay.
plan.
Yeah.
Well,
See the
the
setback with
application
side
just
yards.
was it's misleading, and so. All right, thank you.
Yeah, our agenda says as well as site plan approval. That's probably why we're getting the questions.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I have
Yes,
a question. I need to ask Ms. Levere a question. So this is going in a multi-family district. So site plan approval is not needed by the planning commission, correct?
It is.
It is needed.
One and two-family residential do not require planning commission.
Four do.
This is a four-family.
Density.
any other comments? All right, we're going to move on to the variance request. Ms. Lair, the floor is yours.
Oh, which one, I'm sorry?
153.
Just to ask before she goes, they're broken up into two. Is there a reason there's two line items for that?
There's a review and then our
Oh, so the review first and then?
Yep.
And then agenda item, okay.
So the applicant is requesting a variance at 153 Spring Street. The applicant is proposing to construct a 4-unit multiple-family dwelling on the property that is 10,500 square feet. Multiple-family dwellings are permitted uses, are permitted use in this district. The proposed site plan contains 25-foot yard setbacks, a 25-foot front yard setback, a 40-foot setback to the north yard, a 10-foot setback in the west yard, and a 25-foot setback in the south yard. Section 46-234, minimum site and building requirements are as follows. Item A, lots used for multiple family dwellings in the RM district, a multiple family residential district, shall provide a minimum lot area per dwelling based on the following standards. And item number 2, 2-bedroom units, which is what is proposed on the site plan for these 4-unit for this 4-unit multifamily property. 2-bedroom units requires 200 and 700 square feet per unit. And then also item number I, the minimum yard setback for the project perimeter shall be as follows. Number 1, the front yard shall be 25 feet. And then number 2, perimeter yards 40 feet from all other perimeter yard setbacks. The site measures 10,500 square feet. 2-bedroom units need 2,700 square feet per unit, requiring 10,800 square feet for the 4 proposed 2-bedroom units. The applicant is requesting a variance on section 46-234A2 to reduce the slot requirement by 300 square feet. The site meets the front yard setbacks and the perimeter yard setback on the north side. This requirement is not met at the west yard and south yard. The applicant is requesting a variance on section 46-234I, item number 2, to have a reduced perimeter yard setback at the west, 10 feet, and at the south side, 25 feet of the property. It should be noted that the property was granted variances for side yard setbacks, as well as a reduced lot requirement back in 2005. They pulled building permits, however, the work didn't commence, time lapse. So basically, they are coming before the ZBA again to request these variances for this site plan.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I slaughter your name. Mr. Ramachi, are you here? Would you mind stepping up and talk to you about this? So, just for me, I understand what you're trying to do. Is it impossible to fit that 300 square feet, like, with your design? Is there a way of fitting within that?
You're saying to reduce the building by 300 square
Yes.
feet?
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually spoke to the architect today regarding this, so I'd have to get with him and see if I could do that. I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do. The setback that you're requesting
Yeah,
for the south portion, which is actual Spring Street,
yeah.
if you were granted that, where would it line up to the other houses on that street? Would you be protruding forward from them?
No, I don't. I'd be in line with them.
You'd be in line.
Yeah,
The south side,
yeah.
what about the north side?
So the front yard would be, everybody would be equal going across the front of it. I wouldn't be like a jog or anything like that.
Okay. And is that why you're asking for the setback, so that you can be in line, or is there something else?
No, in order to fit this building on there, if I had to go 40 feet from each side, I only have 75 feet of frontage. So if I had to go 40 feet and 40 feet, it gives me 0. I have
Okay.
nothing. So it kind of, the piece of property is worthless at that point. You can't do anything with it.
Yeah, that was my next question. Thank you for answering.
Oh.
Yeah, you got it. All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
That's okay.
How far out is the back gonna be past the other townhomes there, do you know?
I'm pretty much in line with everybody there, across. I know at the back here, there's parking, and then there's like a little alley, which is what this gentleman here was asking about. And then I believe his property is like right behind the alley part there, his house.
So your parking will match up with the other
Yeah.
residents' parking?
Yeah,
And will you have that similar sidewalk that they have?
I believe there's a sidewalk in front of the house. So we'd be connecting to that sidewalk as well.
Yes, on the south side, you'd connect there.
Yeah,
And then, and on the north side where the parking would be, there looks like there's a small sidewalk.
there
Yeah.
is a little 7-foot,
Would you have room to be consistent with that as well?
yeah.
And,
His parking will be even with the,
mhm.
with the road.
Any other questions?
Sidewalk comes down here.
Yeah, so this is like, this would be the parking in his building.
Not for me.
The walkway would be down here,
Yeah,
and this would be the front.
and he continued that through.
And those are all single apartments over
Yeah.
there, right? Or back to back,
Yeah,
single level?
one story, these would be
Two
two-story.
That's all site plan.
The ones next door are one level, they're like
Yeah.
ranch style.
So, and this might be a question for our planner, in 2005, when it was approved, was it the same exact variance request?
It was slightly different. I don't have we can't find a copy of what that plan looked like.
I actually, it's in my truck, I have a plan of that, I didn't bring it in, but the plan was actually larger than this. The building was a little bit bigger, and they all had 2-car garages. So in order to make it fit now with all the different changes, we had to shrink the building down, eliminate all the garages, and this is what we come up with. And then the setback issue came up, so that's why I'm here.
Is the ordinance changed between then
Between
and now?
2005, and actually I have, this was actually the building permit in 2005. And because of what was happening in the world, I decided to, not do it, and now I'm revisiting it to do it. So it was actually larger than these plans here at the time.
Okay. All right. Barring no other questions, I think we can move on. You guys good? Thank you. All right. Does anybody have any comments, any discussion before we move on to a vote?
We're not voting on the site plan, correct?
We are not voting on a
Just
site plan.
voting
No, that
on
is for
The
planning.
variance.
Really the two variances.
That's the variance to allow them to build this with the setback.
Is the floor open for a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the variances as presented.
I'll second.
Lucero,
Aye.
Hale,
Aye.
Hall. Minton,
Right.
Rosso.
Yes.
But not site plan,
Nope, just the variance, and
just the variance.
we'll see you.
Just the variance. All right. Let's
Thank you.
one more step in your process down.
See if there's a
You're welcome to.
See you at planning.
All right. We're going to move on to the variance request for 160 Plain. Ms. Lavere, again, floor is yours.
The applicant is proposing to install a wall sign of internally illuminated channel letters at 160 McLean. The sign will measure 67.5 feet by 87 inches with a depth of 1 foot. The sign will be placed on a wall that measures 335 feet. The sign ordinance gives the following provision in the industrial district. Each individual business occupying its own site shall be regulated as followed. 1 ground sign and 1 wall sign shall be permitted. 1 additional wall sign shall be permitted if such a development abuts 2 major or secondary thoroughfares. Ground signs shall be limited to 150 square feet in area and 10 feet in height. Item number 4, wall signs shall be limited to 2 square feet of building width at the front building line, or 80 square feet, whichever is left. So the sign measures 489 square feet. The applicant's variance request is to increase visibility to the site, considering the scale of the building wall, as well as the significant setback of at least 500 feet from the 33 Mile Road.
Thank you. Do we have a representative from L&L or Signs and More?
Kelvin Gray, Engineering Manager, L&L Project.
I'm Molly Smith, and I work for Signs and More, and I am representing L&L Products on the presentation or the request for variance.
Okay. I have a few questions for this. I went by the property. And we also pulled the last time any kind of sign request or permit was granted for you guys was for the front permit on, or the front signage on the street on McLean. How long has this building not had signage on the north side of it?
Since installation in '95.
Okay. That brings into question then, one of the issues that you've raised with the signage, wanting it as large, which it's about 6 times the size of the ordinance, is that you need it visible for truck drivers, but you have 2 signs on the north end that state your loading bay is right there. And if you haven't had it since '95, do you have metrics on how much traffic you are missing by not having that there, and why? I'll follow that up. Why, if since '95, so 30 years, all of a sudden is it imperative now? Like, how much, do you have your metrics on
Yep.
how much business you're losing?
We're not worried about business. What we're going for is, just recently, we completed the Unit 4 addition to complete out the site. So now Units 1 through 4 were fully built out on the site. We filled the whole 26 acres with as much as we can. What we got going on in the front cul-de-sac coming from Powell is we get a lot of traffic that flies through all those businesses with the semi-traffic, and they completely ignore the small road signs that we were given. During the addition, we completely met the state's requirements for the new water control, and we redug that whole retention pond, completely re-cleared that area there. And we also got the road, 33-mile road variance that went in 2018, I believe. That's when we bought the retention pond and put the 33-mile road access in. We're still seeing over about a third to half of our truck traffic ignoring all the signs because we never get consistent LTL drivers. And they're constantly driving down Powell, going down the cul-de-sac and going through our lots where all of our people are and where all of our neighbors are. Whereas if we get a better illumination sign facing 33 Mile, we're hoping that they're gonna see it sooner with the nice clear path that we just put in with the pond, that they can coming in either from the north or the south they'll be able to see it and turn into our spot right after rolling coal beforehand. That, we're really trying to signify that we want that to be the main trucking entrance, because that's why we put the 33 mile in. That's why the whole township did the cul-de-sac to get onto Van Dyke there. So we're really trying to encourage the truck traffic to not go in Powell, not come in and around all of the neighbors. That's one of the biggest reasons why we want to do it.
From a signage perspective, I have been doing this for over 20 years and have represented many customers for variances similar to this. A sign that would meet ordinance would look like a postage stamp and not be visible from the 500 feet distance that this building is from the road. And as trucks make the approach, they need to be able to see the sign from a good distance from the building. And I tried to show that on this. This is more of a straight on right when you're on the building, but as you approach, it is very difficult to see. It sounds like it's a large sign, but in relationship to the 525 feet of frontage this building has and the development that's been there, it looks appropriate on the building, and it would be readable, believe it or not. When you're standing there, yes, the letters are taller than me, but when they're up on the building, it's appropriate. And will do what it needs to do.
I did also notice when I went by, there's a large row of trees there too.
Yep.
And you're saying, you know, you're hoping that the signage would catch the eye of truck drivers, but the building is passed considerably from your north access point. My issue with this is the precedent that it sets. I don't necessarily disagree with you guys. I don't. I think you guys do need signage. I do think the way the ordinance is written right now, you're right, it would be a postage stamp and it would look ridiculous. The problem for me is the precedent. We have 100, maybe more businesses down there. And this will open up the floodgates to them coming to us and everybody asking for a variance on that ordinance, given the size of their building. Now, my suggestion would be to petition planning to look at this rather than come to us. Go to planning to look at their ordinance and make it appropriate for building size. Because, as I said, we approve this. It might not be next month, it may not be this year, but at some point, we are going to start getting businesses wanting larger signage. And again, I sympathize with what you guys are saying. I don't necessarily disagree that you should have a larger sign. They're given the space. I actually think you should, but given the ordinance and the rabbit hole that this can create, I don't know if I can support it. Does anybody else have any comments or questions?
I do. I don't necessarily disagree with our chair, but when I listen to what your issues are, I'm not confident putting a sign in the building is going to educate the truckers or get their attention to look at where they should be going. To me, it sounds more like you have an issue of educating their truckers and lighting your driveway. And having a bigger sign probably is a good idea, but I don't think that's gonna solve it all. So that's where I'm grappling with it, like, I don't know that that's gonna solve it. I'd rather see you try to solve your driveway issue and educating your truckers issue.
With the turnover in truck drivers, it needs to be readily apparent. Initially, we evaluated putting a ground sign near the road and determined, based on past issues we've had with the trucks, they don't make the cuts. And they will wipe, where it needs to be, where it would be, the sign would be wiped out
Right,
by the
but you're
truck.
not in a congested area, and people have Waze and all kinds of apps that truckers know where they're going these days. It's a different world, and you're not in a congested area where they can't slow down to look. So it's just another example of why some of this, to me, proposing a 6 times larger sign isn't going to necessarily get the truckers to go, oh, here's the driveway. They're gonna see the building, which is great, but I don't think it's gonna solve a driveway issue. If the sign you're referencing, the one that's here, is this?
That's in the cul-de-sac, that one
That's
there.
the cul-de-sac, that's not the sign.
Yeah, you have to turn on Powell. You
Yeah,
can't see
that's-
that from
That's
Powell.
down McLean.
You have to be the Millennial Auto before you can even see
Right,
it. That's
but-
not even realistic.
This one that you're referencing, or in this picture, leads to my thought process of there's gotta be something in the middle ground, because when I look at this sign, you can't see that one either.
Nope.
And so my thinking is, you need to look at what you're trying to accomplish, because if you want people to see that sign, they can't see it either. And
So-
Right, that's not,
So if you go to the next page, if you look at the very bottom photo, you can actually see our silos, where we tried to do it on our silos. We didn't do it on the building, but we did it on our silos. And you can barely even read it from the street view, as you can see in there. So we're really trying to, we want to demonstrate, we're proud to be L&L Products.
Right,
We want everyone to know, we just invested $14 million because we love Romeo. I
right.
mean, we want to be here. That's why we invested. We really want people to know who we are, too.
And I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is putting your name on the building, to me, doesn't sound like it's going to help the driveway entrance necessarily. So what have you done at the driveway entrance, or going to do at the driveway entrance, to help alleviate that?
I guess I have questions in that line. So, I mean, as you were speaking, that's a retention space.
Yep,
How much are you even legally allowed to change?
not much.
That's my thing with that, is they can't really get into that pond because it
Mhm.
legally has to be there for that building to be the size it is and even exist.
Right,
So, the county put $1 million in the building that right of way to get traffic off of Powell and 32, to bring it up this way, to make that be the building fronts for this new industrial corridor the county imagines. And to me, that's why they want to face this sign that way, rather than down McLean.
Yes,
And you can't put a pedestal sign or anything on the ground there because you can't touch that detention basin. And then you also can't build it against a property line, which the west side is.
correct. We
So
can't go,
You can't put it in the pond, and you
Right.
can't put it on the line, or else we're giving variances for that.
Right.
that's exactly correct. We don't see any other option, and the sign needs to go on the building, and in order for it to be visible, it needs to be the
Yep.
size.
so there's nothing you can do at that entrance? You can't put a
There's-
little,
no, those are all, that's restricted easement and everything that we can't get by, because I just had to deal with that for the retention
nothing on your
spot.
property side?
On
So
our
like
prop- yeah.
if you're looking at the aerial that we were given on the front page of this from Ms. Karen, there's that separate square that is that
Yep.
detention basin. They bought it, basically inherited
Right.
the entire Duke area for that pond, basically to use it as a partially driveway, but then they can't do anything else to it. It's completely locked in by deed restrictions.
Right.
They can't do anything to it.
We
So
actually
it's
just,
like, as much as like a ground sign right there would be the perfect answer for like a truck going past, they can't alter the parcel.
Well, I'm not necessarily thinking a ground sign to that magnitude. I want to be assured that other options have been looked at.
Yes.
That,
Okay.
do you have the lighting? Do you have whatever you can do at that entrance? Because part of it too, if you think about it, if that entrance is so hard, and these truckers keep missing it, and they see the name on the sign, and they go, this is, okay, I'm getting in the area, is it a safe entrance if it's that hard, if they're missing it? And I'm sharing this being devil's advocate, because how you portrayed it to me is it's a trucker issue who can't pull into a driveway, and that's why you want a bigger
no,
sign.
No.
it's also a
And-
branding of L&L. We want
Yeah,
people to know where
and-
we're at and come. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it, too. We tried on the south side of the retention pond to see if we could feasibly put anything ground level there that would portray over the pond, and how far we'd have to set back with how deep I had to dig that pond, and that the footers would be ridiculous that I'd have to put in, and it still wouldn't be that big, and it'd be set back 400 foot.
Ground signs have to be even smaller.
Exactly.
I think this is demonstrating a hardship that would warrant a variance.
Well, you're not demonstrating a hardship, really, you just said it's more about
Yeah.
putting it in
Branding.
than,
Yep.
seeing
And we really want to brand L&L, we want people to know, we want that to be the employee entrance. How we wrote it up, yes.
Yeah.
So.
It's this huge hardship to have it.
And when we put the new addition on, we really looked hard, could we put it anywhere on Unit 4? That's where we really wanted it. We were even thinking about a roof sign, but even getting up to Powell or to get a sign up there, the structural load we would have had to put in, and the variance we would have had to ask for, would have been through the roof. I mean, literally through the roof. It would have been enormous. Because we initially did on the new Unit 4 addition, where we put signs up on the roof line pointing both to Powell and to 33, we'd have to be so high and put so much structural steel there and still ask for variance on those, that we're just really trying to broadcast. L&L's been a gem back in the corner there for a long time, and we're really proud where we're at now. We're really trying to grow to a certain amount of people, and we really want people to know where we're at. That's also part of this.
So the size that you're asking for, again, about 6 times larger than allowed, was some type of ratio used to match it to the ratio size of the building, or how did you come up with such a sign?
So we matched it to the size between those windows and what would fit proportionally between the cut lines of the brick and the building. We went between the windows because that's all we can be. And then we have a dust collector and silos, and we're landlocked by compactors on the other side.
Okay.
So we ratioed it just to what could fit their maximum. We also considered structural loading and lighting and how light we're gonna do it. So there was a lot that went into planning to request this.
And it
And
would
also
be lit
from a-
24/7?
What?
It would be lit 24/7?
We were actually thinking about, we could do 24/7, or we could do it on halogen, so it's only on at night too. That's an option as well.
This will be internally illuminated, and it will be on a timer where it can be managed. And as far as visibility, the rule of thumb in the sign industry is 1 inch of letter height for every 10 feet of distance from the road. So in this case, I want the truck to be able to see it from about 800 feet distance. As they approach, there's an 6 to 800 foot distance. As they approach, they start to see it. So they see the entrance. It's dark when they're making their deliveries. The lights do need to be on.
But see,
Early
now
in the
you just
morning.
said it again, it's dark when they're making their deliveries, and they're gonna be looking at the sign on the building, they should be focusing. So I'm
Well,
getting
they can see it.
confused as to whether this is a safety issue, and you're trying to solve it with a sign? Or you need to look at that
helps the
entrance.
visibility as you drive. Yes, you need to be focusing, but if you see it's a dark area, and they have that light on there, it's helpful.
And for the roadway, we put it to code, the amount of light poles that we're supposed to have. We got the variance to get the small signs on Powell and 33, the reflective ones that we have that show the entranceway. So we have been trying really hard to do it, and we're really just trying to go to the next level. We're just saying that we don't have enough to get it there is what we're trying to get.
My issue is not whether or not, I think you guys should be able to do that. It's the precedent that it sets and what could happen to this board. And really, I believe this is really an issue for planning rather than the ZBA. I truly believe. The issue with that is that sometimes things are slow for planning. So that does not help your case. I mean, we just had an issue that we talked about, was it a year ago? Year and a half ago that just got resolved with planning. So that does not bode well for your case. I understand for your timelines. Yeah. I don't know the workaround other than going to planning rather than us making a decision, because we make a decision, if we vote yes on this, we have now opened up the doors to 100+ companies coming in here, all saying they want their signage larger. And I don't think, as a steward of this village on this board, I don't know if that's the best use of village funds to get inundated and have to convene this board multiple times just because others now want to up their sign. I wish there was something, I mean, I wish there was a way you guys could put a large sign, like you guys said, an aerial sign or something. I just don't, I understand that you want it illuminated at night. They're past the roadway by the time they're probably going to recognize the illuminated sign. So they're gonna have to turn around. You know, you got a myriad of issues with this, and I would love to help you guys, I would. And my best suggestion is to go to planning, because
Could do it concurrently. We could suggest to go to planning now, and then also consider the ordinance, and, I mean, you already said you are in favor of this possibly being reviewed at the planning level.
right.
So, I mean, it
So
doesn't cost,
upon appro-
it doesn't cost zero to apply for a zoning permit, so people know the planning's working on it. Would they wait?
Then you're lacking in planning though, really. You're putting them.
This ordinance is preposterous for a building that size.
Oh,
in
I
my
agree.
opinion.
And you know
I
what,
completely
planning
agree.
needs to move a little bit quicker.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think since '95, there's probably 150 more sign options than
Right,
they
I mean,
had
this
back
is
then.
significantly smaller than what's on the Ford plan
Yeah.
on 32 Mile Road.
Yeah.
Right, so
It's
significantly.
I don't disagree, but I don't
Yeah.
want to force planning
I do.
into,
Yeah, I don't care.
I mean, I think they should, but I don't wanna say now you have to do it next month.
I want to go on record as saying this, and I don't care if it doesn't make me friends and makes me enemies. Planning needs to move on issues that they have that have been sitting with them for a while. So if we pass this to them, it's incumbent on them to move on this and not just let it collect dust. Because like I said, I believe you should be able to have this sign. I worry about what the fallout is, and I hope you understand my position with this board, that what this sets the precedent for and what we could potentially be inundated with. I agree that you guys should have a large sign. It's much like when we looked at the issue with the garage.
Garages.
You should be able to build within a tolerance of your lot. And it took forever for that to get taken care of. So I think the next step would be to, say planning needs to look at this and it needs to be expedited.
Could we look at approving it with the magnitude of our building and put note of that for the size of it versus just every small shop coming and ask for a variance in the future? Could we look at it, this was approved based on the size of your facility, the size of your lot, the magnitude of what we are? That way, when you wouldn't be setting a precedence for a small shop to come in and ask for it.
Well, now you're walking into a lane of discrimination with that.
Yep.
To say just because they're the big guy, they get to do this, you can't because you're the little guy. That then
Well, I meant
becomes a very
magnitude of
sticky-
frontage and that, not
That's what
just the
garage
size of the building.
ordinances did anyway.
Right. Well,
But you don't see the retention pond and the other areas, I mean, that's a hardship, the other businesses might have other options where we don't.
It's a hardship as much as it's not. You cannot create your own hardship. So you grew, and good for you guys to grow, but in growing, it presented a hardship that was of your own creation. So,
I mean, I disagree because their access got moved. The
There's that
county
too.
and the state wanted people using 33 Mile Road,
right,
not Powell.
Yes.
They paid $1 million to fix it. They didn't create that, so I'll argue that point. I'm not telling you how to vote, but they
No.
didn't create that roundabout that pushed traffic to 33 Mile to get the trucks off of 32.
Yeah, but they designed their building and didn't have that sign on it with the original
Yeah,
No, because
that was,
the front was on-
plan. So,
the front was
you know,
on
you can
McLean.
go, pardon me?
Their front was on McLean once
Yeah.
upon a time.
Mhm. But when they brought this project forward amazingly and did it, they didn't ask for a sign this large, and it's kind of a hindsight thing. And
I mean,
so I think they should
in
have a
life are.
larger sign. I think they should have more options. But I agree with the chair that it should be at planning, and it should be consistent and fair and organized. Meaning an ordinance that's fair to everybody. And we can request that planning, see this and talk about it and do something about it. And the representatives from L&L are welcome to go to a planning meeting. And I don't think that's unreasonable, but 6 times the size and the precedent that it's going to set, I think that's a concern. We need to be fair and consistent and solve the issue instead of solve it for everybody. L&L can be the pioneer in that. They're gonna solve this issue for everybody in that area. They're gonna come forward, get it addressed, and help all the little guys around them.
So with that said, is there any more comment or questions? I'm kind of at a loss here. I don't necessarily want to vote no on this. I would rather just push it pending planning. It needs to go to planning.
You gotta vote.
We didn't vote on the garage, we pushed it to planning.
We got the owner of the parcel to agree to do that. That's what I did. I had a conversation with them, right? So if that's what you want to do to them. That was the only way that would fly, is because I talked to the owner, and the owner agreed to have it go through planning to amend the rule. Other than that, we are to adjudicate, because we are a court. You don't get to push like a board.
Right. I mean, this needs to go to planning. So I guess we vote, and then the next steps would be for them. All right.
Would you be interested in being that pioneer to approach planning and say, us and all these guys, we need something different, and advocate for everybody in that area?
I'm here as the owner's representative. I can't make that call in this meeting.
Okay,
Right.
I didn't sign the paperwork, sorry.
okay, that's okay.
All right. Then can I get a motion to vote on this variance as presented? I'd like to motion.
I don't know how you want it. I mean, my wordings, I'll go ahead. I personally don't have an issue with this, so I think that this concurrently should go to planning commission. So in my motion, I will say that I would like to approve this with knowledge that this needs to go to planning and be corrected to a percentage of building size or wall space, however planning sees fit to address it. Does that make enough sense for you, Secretary?
So you're approving it
I vote yes,
to approve it,
right, so I'm an aye. Well, that's my motion,
what your motion is.
yes. that's my motion.
Essentially splitting the
But
baby.
you'd like it to go to planning?
Yeah.
You'd like
So
it to, but it
I want
won't have
in the
to.
minutes that it's gonna go to planning,
Okay.
because sometimes that doesn't get,
Yeah,
if it's just aside, I want it listed in my motion, that it has to go to planning.
So
That
they'll get,
this
For-
specifically doesn't, but the rule itself needs to be
right,
addressed.
so they'll get their sign, but the rest of it needs
If
to
it
go to
passes,
planning, is
yeah.
what you're asking.
Right.
That's what I want.
I'll second that motion.
If it just has to go to planning, can we tell planning what there's a,
I mean, there's representatives of both here.
my concern is that we don't have, I don't say authority, we don't have the ability to tell planning what they have to look at.
No, I absolutely agree. I created the garage all the way to the end, so. But I like to think that I advocate for this board on that board, but I'm not gonna tell anybody how to vote.
Yeah.
Got one and a two.
Listening.
Lucero,
Yeah.
Don't look at me, man. It's your vote.
Hale,
Aye.
You're an aye?
Yeah.
I'm an aye.
If it's going to planning, yeah.
Hall,
Yes.
Minton,
Yes.
Rosso.
No.
Okay, 4 to 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Officer appointment.
Because it's our one meeting a year.
Yeah, it's our one meeting a year, so we have to appoint officers. Keep them the same, doesn't matter, but we have to vote on it, so.
I'd like to nominate Jamie Lucero for chair of the ZBA for the Romeo
Second.
Village. Do you accept that?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Roll call. Listening.
Lucero,
Aye.
He's asking.
Hale,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Minton,
Aye.
Rosso.
Yes.
It's more split of the minute that he doesn't get to go. There's a minute, I know.
I would also like to nominate Brian Minton for
Oh,
vice
no,
chair.
you-
I second, I second.
That's the worst.
Second.
Shelley got it, sorry.
Second, Shelley got it?
Shelley,
Yeah.
second.
All right, roll call.
Would you go?
Lucero,
Aye.
Hale,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Minton,
Yes.
Yes.
Rosso.
All right,
Just one more.
we're almost there, guys. Last but not least, scheduling a monthly or quarterly meeting for this board. That way, it's on the books. If we don't have anything to review, any business, then we don't convene. But former Vice Chair Hale and I were talking about this issue, and we should have something, a routine schedule in place for this board. I actually think we probably should have it per the law. So with that said, does anybody, I know I have suggestions, but does anybody have any suggestions about a monthly or quarterly meeting?
Do third Tuesdays work?
I was gonna say third Tuesday or Thursday.
No Thursdays. Thursdays is planning commission.
Thursday is fine.
Oh. mm.
Planning's always the first Thursday
Yeah. can't
of
do
each
Thursdays.
month.
Can't do Thursdays.
That means you have the second, third, and fourth Thursday.
Can't do any Thursday.
Tuesdays are, I can't do
I would
Tuesdays.
propose quarterly. I don't think there's enough material for monthly. And then
I
they
can
would
do
create
second
you
Tuesday.
every month
Wednesdays are
having
good.
to
How about
But that's,
Wednesdays?
but that's if there is business.
You can go straight from here to get
Right, but
pizza.
then she'll still have to post that it's
Wednesday?
canceled, and it creates a little extra minutia for Cindy
It
every
might
month.
not be as much work as it is to try to schedule one.
Right, we all know the meeting's supposed to happen on a certain date, we should all have that idea. But now it's like a round robin of questions.
Right.
No,
It's
I'm
a-
saying
it's a
meet
lot.
quarterly, not monthly.
Oh,
Because there does, every month then Cindy's gonna have to be,
I think, I
Cancel.
really, I mean, I quarterly was my first idea, but I think that what happens if we met tonight, somebody comes in tomorrow?
Right, that's
we
the
don't meet
only
for 3
issue
months.
with
Yeah.
the quarterly, Shelley, is that we try to expedite them as quickly as
Right,
possible.
so if
so
they know,
how often,
Well, I mean, obviously, it hasn't happened for a
Yeah.
year,
right?
but
it would just be
it's-
canceled after, I mean, where I work, they're constantly canceled. But,
I guess that's more my consideration for your job flow, so.
well,
if
you're very sweet to consider me, but I'm fine.
You're, okay.
Yeah.
She's
All right.
fine for another
6
year.
months.
All right, so,
For another year, I'm
Another
fine.
so we're saying monthly then, or are we saying monthly?
Is everybody good for like a Wednesday? I don't care what Wednesday it is, I just can't do, I don't like Monday and Friday for anything government. And Thursdays.
Friday night sounds great.
Is Wednesday good for you?
7:30.
That's
Please.
what I'm looking for right now.
I don't think I have anything on Wednesdays, and I can go get a pizza
That's
after.
what I'm trying to see.
I gotta study the microphone.
Yeah, that's, we do that. You say pizza. So we're looking at second or third Wednesday?
Yeah, either one works for me.
Second.
Second?
Second Wednesday?
Second Wednesday?
Because the third Monday is the village meeting, so that would be too much in 1 week.
Do we have to bring that to a vote with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an
Yeah.
agenda item.
All right. So, do I have a motion to monthly?
I'll make a motion that we meet, that the ZBA is scheduled to meet every second Wednesday of the month in perpetuity.
I will
At
second
6:30?
that. 6:30.
6:30, thank you,
You're
yes.
welcome.
6:30, okay.
That way it's just
All right.
on my calendar.
I'll second that.
Lucy, are you second? Okay.
Haven't seconded anything tonight to get on the minutes. All right. Ms. Cindy, roll.
Lucero,
Yes.
Hale,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Minton,
Yes.
Rosso?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Was that
All in
from Brad?
favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out.